Fugitive Task Force. What did I do? What could I have possibly done? Greater than. Greater than. I may occasionally have the violent ideations or whatever. Greater than. Greater than our missing person was also involved in those types of fantasies and violent ideations. Greater than. Greater than. Oh, I'm sure we had some nasty discussions. Greater than. Greater than. I'm not even going to play. I'm sure we had some nasty discussions. Greater than. Greater than. How did she say she wanted to die? So he was like, it wasn't easy, you know? It wasn't like just one and done. Greater than. Greater than. I barely even have interest in tying my wife up at this point, because she's been through so much. Greater than. On October 13th, 2025, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement is contacted for investigative assistance by Interpol regarding a missing woman who had flown from England to the U.S. before vanishing. The truth about what led to her disappearance is far more haunting than anyone expects, leaving investigators with more questions than answers. Greater than. Greater than. I think it took her 2 years to talk him into helping her leave this world. Greater than. Greater than the following report is based on official police records, and some of the footage has never been seen before until now. Please note that all persons charged with a crime are presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law. 32-year-old Sonia Exelby from Port South, England, had traveled to Florida on October 10, 2025, and though she booked a return flight on October 12, she never boarded it. The last known trace of Sonia's whereabouts was a series of charges to her debit card on October 11th. These charges were to the company Silver Wolf's Roadside Assistance, owned by 52-year-old Dwayne Hall. On October 17th, with Sonia still missing, investigators are eager to speak with Dwayne. Utilizing aerial surveillance, the Marion County Sheriff's Office tracks down his vehicle and relays his information to deputies and agents from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Greater than I hear 1 unit's on. We got the vehicle. It's 75 northbound, just got on. Greater than you got to wait till I tell you, bud. Greater than I thought. You got to get greater than you said wait till you call out. Greater than you're good. Greater than Dwayne isn't alone. His wife, Ginger, is in the passenger seat. Any weapons? Greater than hello. Greater than yeah. I asked her to get my ID on the center console. Greater than you have a search warrant for your vehicle. Greater than all I know is that this vehicle with that tag number, there's a search warrant for that vehicle. That being said, I'm happy to give you a free ride to whoever got the search warrant so you can help them, and they explain what the purpose of the search is. Greater than okay. Number 1, we're on the way to go take her up to her thing for post-replant stuff. Greater than okay. Greater than what? What the hell has he got? Are you going to search here or what? Greater than so. That's all the information that I know. Greater than they tell Dwayne that they will transport him so that he can speak to the person who organized the search warrant, and he agrees. Greater than he's going to go voluntarily up. Greater than I'm literally greater than to see. So, if you just want to pat him down, search, make sure he doesn't have any weapons, and then, we may have to take the wife as well so she can arrange for a ride or something to get up to the hospital. Greater than, yeah, she's got to be for a bronchosulfy. She just had a double lung transfer. Greater than, oh, geez. Okay, alright, you guys are really this is up. Greater than alright. Go and face the car for me. I'm just going to pass you down. Make sure you got nothing else. Greater than alright, babe. As they're seizing the vehicle, Ginger has been asked to get out as well, but she isn't opposed to getting into the back of the deputy's car with Dwayne. Greater than, I don't mind riding in the back. Greater than right. I think I don't know a lot about what's going on. Normally we don't, normally we have everybody seen that for me. Greater than. Greater than I'm more worried about her. I cooperate with you, but greater than, yeah. Here, listen. Don't worry. Don't worry about her. We're not going to put her out any kind of way. Okay, we're going to figure something out. All right. Greater than just watch your leg. Okay, greater than fugitive task force. What did I do? What could I have possibly done? Fugitive task force. What is going on? I haven't done anything. Greater than, I guess I got big problems. Greater than, it won't take long for Dwayne to discover if he does in fact have big problems. As he's transported to speak with investigators, deputies agree to give Ginger a ride to her appointment. Greater than here, right there. Right there. Greater than, Dwayne is soon joined by an agent from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, also known as the FDLE, and a detective from the Marion County Sheriff's Office. Greater than, hi, Mr. Hall. My name's Rebecca. Greater than, okay. Greater than, hi, Mr. Hall. Greater than, hello. What's your first name? Greater than, as if you don't know. Greater than, I don't like playing. I don't like playing silly. Greater than, okay. Well, greater than I like to be direct. You have my name, or else I wouldn't be here. Greater than, why would you like us to call you? Greater than Dwayne is fine. Greater than Dwayne is fine. Greater than, okay. Well, I was just going to say because I honestly forgot it. So, that's why I called. Greater than, okay. I will accept that. Greater than, though things are off to a somewhat rocky start. They remind Dwayne that, since he came in voluntarily to speak with them, he's not being officially detained. While he's appeared bewildered by the situation so far, Dwayne was actually called by authorities twice already, and been made aware that his transactions have something to do with a missing persons case. Greater than so, what's going on? Greater than that I do need to just tell you your rights. Greater than you gotta check my rights. Okay, check the box. Greater than it's checking a box. Greater than he's read his rights, and Dwayne agrees to speak. He explains that on October 11th, the day of the transactions, a woman called him and told him her car had broken down. Greater than they called at night, and they tried to run a card, and my card services kept declining it. So they kept going lower and lower on the amount, and the only thing she was saying that maybe made me paranoid and thought it was pretty sketchy. It's too quiet in the background for somebody that's broke down. For somebody that's broke down, it was way too quiet in the background, and she kept saying over and over again, I swear there's money on the car. I swear. I swear. And of course, I declined, and I didn't go out there. Records show that over the course of 10 minutes, Dwayne attempted to process 6 transactions for varying amounts from $100 to $790, all of which were declined. In the same time frame, he ran a second card, and Dwayne was able to complete a transaction for $1,200. Both cards were for United Kingdom banks and belonged to Sonia Exelby, the missing woman. Dwayne, however, claims not to know who the woman was, and that he never went out to help her with her vehicle. Greater than, where were you like when you were having this conversation? Greater than, I was actually out in the other side of Riddick. Greater than I was out there on a different type of job. Greater than okay. Greater than now, I'd gotten hired. Nah, I ain't telling you anything about this because I signed an NDA for the client. Greater than, okay. Greater than okay. But if it comes down to it and we need that information, and we desperately need that information, I'll break that NDA. But the reason why the NDA was there was because there's high-profile client that has cars for people like Travolta, and that on his property, and doesn't want that all that disclosed. Despite the NDA, Dwayne reveals that the man he was working for was named Harold. He says he worked on a series of vehicles for him Friday night, stayed overnight at an Airbnb, and then worked for Harold all day Saturday late into the evening. In an EW exclusive interview, Ginger, Dwayne's wife, describes what he told her about that weekend. Done a jump start for a customer that had a big garage full of really expensive cars, and it was going to be an all-night thing. He was supposed to oil change, battery change, and tire change, like over 50 cars, high-end, super expensive cars. That's what he told me. And so he was going to have to DAS. So he was going to have to stay overnight to save on gas and all that. She also shared why she believed Dwayne had been asked to speak with police. Greater than, he had told me that somebody had tried to use a stolen credit card to order a jumpstart from him, 'cause he was a roadside assistant, and I thought that's what it was about. He acted stressed, but I thought that was because of the card. The card he was afraid of getting charged with fraud. This concern wasn't the only troubling thing that happened that weekend when it came to Harold paying Dwayne for his mechanic work. Something else went awry. Greater than, so on that weekend when these transactions and interactions with this individual were taking place, they disappeared. I didn't delete them. Greater than, I literally have 3 calls listed for I think it's Sunday. Is either Saturday or Sunday. There's 3 calls compared to 20-30 a day, greater than that come into my phone. Greater than so, did the calls come in and you were having those conversations and it wasn't logged or you weren't getting calls at all? Greater than calls were coming in, they vanished. They vanished out of the call log. Greater than text messages, emails, everything. Everything regarding and relating to that service that I did out there vanished, gone like it never happened. And then I went home that Sunday, or I tried to go home that Sunday. Greater than, but I was being followed. Greater than, how so? Greater than I was being tailed. Greater than Dwayne says that, as he was driving home, he saw a vehicle following him and decided to go down a back road where he parked to wait them out. I sat there and I waited for an hour, and they kept making passes on the main road. Greater than, while this may seem like a random detail, this specific area where Dwayne describes hiding would eventually be revealed to harbor a dark secret. Already Dwayne's story has been filled with twists and turns, but he now adds a new element. He says on Friday, before he started the mechanical work, Harold asked him to do something. But now we get to the worst part of the story that I'm dreading talking about altogether because I have a really bad feeling about it again. Like I said, really bad. This thing went from, I'm not going to pay any attention to it, to really bad in my opinion, because everything that happened. He called me up. I was working in Gainesville. Shift ended at 6. He called me up and he said, "Hey, I need you to go pick somebody up from Gainesville Airport." Greater than, okay. I picked somebody up from Gainesville Airport, female, tried to make small talk with him. They told me basically, and I'm barely even paraphrasing here, shut up. I don't talk to the help. Greater than, regardless of her manners, Dwayne says he drove the woman to Harold's where she got out and into another vehicle. He says he never saw her again. So far, in his version of events, the woman who called because her vehicle broke down and the woman he picked up for Harold are 2 different people. However, investigators know that the cards belong to Sonia and that the woman he picked up from the airport is also Sonia. They will eventually confront Dwayne, but for now, he says he believes that the mysterious Harold may have something to do with their missing persons case. Greater than, what if there's a different person that goes missing every year? Greater than, that is related to that? Greater than, greater than, because that's up. Greater than, greater than that's up. And then there was a big thing, and then the phone call got money and this, that, and the other, and we start connecting the dots like me and her did. Greater than, What if this is some kind of underground thing where they get unsuspecting people? Especially like Calvin told me she anyway. Greater than Calvin is the investigator Dwayne spoke to prior to this interview. Well, if she signed up for something and they predator these young women or men and then just they vanish. Greater than, greater than, yeah, that's interesting. Greater than, greater than. I mean, I've heard the worst. I mean, especially since he name dropped that. What's really weird is that he would name drop like this and then make me sign an MBA. But he name dropped that he was storing vehicles for Travolta, Terry Blee, the Hulk Hogan family. Greater than, oh, okay. Greater than, and Tom Cruise. Greater than, okay. Greater than, what if some kind of Scientology bull behind the scenes, and going and working on the cars was just a cover story. Greater than to get you involved? Greater than. Yeah. What am I going to do? I'm nobody. After allowing Dwayne to fully explain his suspicions, the investigators decide to reveal their own evidence, including something they know about Sonia. They still don't tell Dwayne her name. Greater than, I've been speaking with people who know her and know things about her, and we know that she was communicating with people over here, and had the intention of coming over here to end her life. And we know that that was what this trip was about. Greater than? This is the reason that the authorities in the UK were so concerned when Sonia never boarded her return flight home. Court documents indicate that a year earlier in 2024, Sonia had been planning to travel to the US to meet with individuals she met online in order to fulfill her wishes. That attempt was thwarted, and she received treatment. Investigators also have another bombshell to drop. The transactions may have been what led them to Dwayne, but they aren't the only reason they want to speak with him today. Greater than, we also know that you were one of the people that were communicating with her. Well, what was her screen name? Greater than, what does that matter? Greater than I communicate with a lot of people. Greater than, okay. Do you communicate with a lot of people about ideations? Greater than we talk. We have a lot. I communicate. I used to greater than used to communicate with a lot of people that it was greater than and greater than and there was a lot of fantasy roleplay that happened there. But if you tell me your screen name, maybe I'll have a better idea what you're talking about. Dwayne claims he hasn't had access to his account in months because he was banned for violating the terms of service. Greater than so, what kind of stuff did you like to talk about? Greater than hard bondage. Greater than, okay. Greater than, I like hard bondage. Greater than, okay. You think that's what got you? Greater than, that's not what got me banned. Greater than, there's no way you got greater than, I don't know. It seems like somebody took offense to something their wife said, like on a comment or something like that. You can comment on pictures or posts, or have a conversation in live feeds or whatever. Not live feeds, but comment feeds or whatever. I think something there might have got me banned because there's certain words that you're not allowed to use, and that list seems to be ever growing by the month. Greater than, but like I said, I haven't been on there for a long time. Greater than, what are the words? Greater than, basically anything violent. Greater than, okay, anything violent or aggressive, too aggressive. Greater than like snuff type stuff. Greater than between snuff type stuff and other assorted violent stuff like that. I may occasionally have the violent ideations or whatever, greater than, but at the same time, it's better left on paper, greater than. So, the reason why I'm having this discussion with you is that our missing person was also involved in those types of fantasies and violent ideations. Greater than, greater than, greater than, well, that somehow doesn't surprise me, right? Greater than, greater than, especially if you're telling me that I actually had communication and she was actually communicating with me at one point or another. Greater than, I'm sure we had some right nasty discussions. Greater than, yeah, greater than, I'm not even going to play. I'm sure we had some right nasty discussions. Greater than, yeah. And between consenting adults is absolutely okay, right? Greater than, yeah. I mean, if like I said, there's a line, but yeah, good to point. Greater than, yeah. So, if she came over here with the intention of fulfilling some of those fantasies, bondage, violent fantasies, I'm not saying necessarily, but definitely violent fantasies. And then at the end of it, she wants to end her life. If you're trying to put me in line with something like that, I'm going to tell you right now. It's been all about my wife since she damn near died. Greater than, I have no interest in anything to do with anything like that with another woman. I barely even have interest in tying my wife up at this point, because she's been through so much. Greater than once again, the investigators know something they have been withholding until this moment. But we know that she was with you, and we know that she came over here to carry out this bondage, fuel fantasies, and ultimately to take her own life. We know all of these things. Greater than the FBLE agent discloses that they have evidence that shows Sonia stayed at the Airbnb with Dwayne. With this revelation, Dwayne abruptly adjusts his version of events, now admitting she was with him on Friday and Saturday. However, he still doesn't refer to her by her name. Greater than, what do you want? Greater than weird means a lot of different things. We already talked about that to a lot of people. Greater than, okay? So we had a little bit of light choking or whatever, you know? Greater than, okay. All just regular kind of firm grip kind of every once in a while, but greater than light bondage. Greater than very, very light. Didn't even involve any ropes or anything like that. Greater than, okay, so just the hands. Greater than, okay. Anything else? Greater than. What do you mean? Greater than so, you said light choking. So, and I know this can greater than so, what does that mean to you? Greater than it means, I put my greater than, okay. What part of her? Greater than, yes. Greater than every part. Greater than, yes. She wanted it. Greater than? How'd she let you know that she wanted it? 'Cause there's lots of ways that happens. Greater than, give me that. Greater than, she grabbed greater than, yep. Greater than with her hand. Greater than, yep. Greater than, and then her face. Greater than, so greater than her face. What does that mean? Greater than, like the whole thing. Greater than in her interview, Ginger explains that she was aware Dwayne was talking to other women. I knew he had other girls, quote-unquote girlfriends that he talked to online, but it was never like because I was so disabled. I told him I was fine with it, as long as he didn't lie to me about it. And so I knew that there were a couple that he was talking to like that, but there was never supposed to be anything physical. They were never supposed to meet in person. It was supposed to stay online. According to official documents, Sonia left evidence on her computer indicating that she had made a plan and was carrying it out by traveling to the U.S. The investigators now discuss this plan with Dwayne. Greater than, so she talked about dying, having somebody maybe help her. What were those conversations like? How did she say she wanted to die? Greater than, we didn't talk about that. It became very apparent. Deal with anything like that. Barely wanted to deal with her presence. Greater than, what did you guys talk about? Because, again, everyone has the ability to change their mind, But there were conversations about it, even if it was in person. Greater than, yeah, there was, there was conversations about it. Greater than, so, tell me about those conversations. Greater than, she said she had tried it many times. Greater than, okay. Greater than, and she failed. And she said that that's a really beautiful state, and she couldn't think of a better place to end it all. Greater than, okay. And that's pretty much the extent of it. There was no real elaboration one way or another except for the fact that became very obvious that I was not about this life. I didn't want it. I didn't want the mess. I didn't want the scrutiny. I didn't want to be involved in any way, shape, or form at that point. I didn't even want to have sex. Greater than anything that you did with her that you recorded? Greater than I deleted it. Greater than okay. Tell me more about that. I asked her. I told her that I wanted her to tell me what it was that she was there for. Okay. Greater than then. I wanted her to go into detail, and she basically just kind of locked up on everything, and I ended up deleting it, because that was of absolutely no use to me. Greater than. Despite deleting it during a later search of Dwayne's phone, investigators located the disturbing video he recorded on October 11th. Greater than I want you to tell me about why you're here. 'Cause I'm an awful person, and I need to die. Greater than. Yeah, but why are you such an awful person? Greater than. I've crushed everyone who ever loves me. I've cheated on my partner. God, the amount of lie to everyone about this is, overwhelming. I led on so many men, 'cause I didn't know how to well, it was more just that I didn't have the guts to say no, 'cause, and they probably wouldn't like me or, I don't know. People just always seemed overly nice. I was always an old fool. Greater than, in case something like this happened, I could just be here. Hey, greater than. But she didn't respond to you when you asked her. Greater than she was not responsive very much, and I don't know what the problem was in that regard. I think she was just disappointed because I didn't want to. I didn't want her. Greater than in official documents, investigators noted that Sonia appeared subdued in the video. Rarely looks up towards the camera where Dwayne would be positioned, becomes visibly upset with tears in her eyes, exhales deeply, swallows hard, and is very hesitant to answer Dwayne's questions. The video would reveal much more, but for now, the FDLE agent confronts Dwayne with a chilling revelation. Greater than, I know that she is not alive anymore. I know that. You know that. And I want to find her. Greater than no. I don't know that. Greater than I think you do. Greater than I don't know that. I suspect that. I strongly suspect that. Greater than that video, you took it to protect yourself. But you didn't really need to take that video to protect yourself because I know she asked you to do it. Does that make sense? Greater than, yeah, it does. But at the end of the day, I still don't know where it ended up. I still don't know what happened to her. Though Dwayne is adamant, the investigators have uncovered disquing evidence. According to court documents, an hour prior to picking Sonia up at the airport, Dwayne bought paracord, gun cleaner, 50 feet of rope, and a shovel. Greater than. It does not make any sense that right before you picked her up, you bought rope and a shovel. And greater than, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Greater than, help me make sense of that. Like, why would you buy a shovel? 大鱼, that was actually a thing that I was already there. I was actually planning on doing it way. And the timing was just really on my behalf, because if I would have actually thought about it, I'd have realized how bad of a stupid maneuver that would have been. And I actually, absolutely did not think. Greater than, why am I sitting here talking to you? Greater than, because you want to find a missing person. Greater than, Greater than she has a name. What's her name? Greater than you want to find Sonia? Greater than I want to find Sonia. Greater than. This is the first time that Dwayne has confirmed that the woman he spent the weekend with was Sonia Exelby. Whether it's this acknowledgement or the other evidence, it seems that Dwayne has hit a breaking point. Greater than so. If I'm to follow along what everybody's saying here, I think that I can't afford a lawyer, but I think I'm going to need one at this point. Greater than, okay. Greater than now, I have to be able to protect myself to some degree. And, once I have a lawyer present, I think we can, and I confer with them. I think we can continue this. Greater than, okay. Following his request for a lawyer, Dwayne is left alone. However, he soon requests to go to the bathroom. Greater than you want to use the bathroom, right? Please. Greater than so, you are detained at the moment based on everything we talked about, and we got some stuff we're following up on. So, we're going to handcuff you in the front, and we're going to walk you to the bathroom. Greater than after this small reprieve, they leave him to stew in the interview room, eventually checking if he'd like something to eat. Greater than I need more than I need food. I need an update about my wife. Greater than, okay. Greater than we were on our way to take her to a Broncos copy this morning when they stopped me, and then I was told she was admitted, and please, greater than, oh, so she's at a hospital. Greater than, please. Greater than, okay. See, I don't know anything. Okay. Greater than I know. Greater than, okay. I'll see what I can find out. Okay, I'll go grab you like a Whopper. No pickles and fries, and I will get an update on, see if I can get to, I can't promise you anything. Please, greater than, I'll see what I can find out. Okay, greater than, thank you. Greater than, despite his concern about his wife, Ginger was dropped off at the hospital for her appointment without issue. Following the delivery of his food, Dwayne appears to realize the severity of his situation. Greater than the last time I taste so good. Why does it feel like my last meal? Whether it was the hot meal or the hours on his own, Dwayne has made a decision. Greater than I want to speak to Miller. Greater than you want me to call him and come in here? Greater than I want to speak to Miller. Greater than, okay. Yeah. Hey, Dwayne. Greater than, did you need us for something? Greater than yes. Greater than, you got a minute? I'd like to talk to you. Well, greater than well, more you than you, I think. Greater than, okay. Greater than, what would you like to talk about? I want to recant basically my entire statement. Greater than you want to recant your entire statement? Greater than yes. Greater than, okay. Greater than, I can't stand being a liar. Greater than I can't stand it. Greater than Dwayne states that the entire story about receiving a call for service from a woman whose car broke down and the elaborate tale about Harold was not true, and that Harold does not exist. He claims this was all a cover story he devised with Sonia. He decides to retell his story, starting with him meeting Sonia online. And her and I started talking and whatnot, and she was telling me about all of her stuff and things like that. So I started kind of mentoring her, and this was probably about 2 years ago, and I wanted to make her life better. I didn't want her. It got to a certain point this past year, sometime in the past year, where she actually offered me to help me with. I owe the IRS a lot of money, and she offered to help me with that. And I said yes. And from there, I started mentoring her a little bit further, and she seemed to be getting better. Greater than Dwayne tells them that he owes almost $10,000 to the IRS. Yet, Ginger explains that their finances had not been an issue. Greater than. Yeah, it was really nice. We were even able to afford we moved into the suburbs out of the ghetto for the first time in my life. Greater than, greater than, however, in a video Dwayne posted to his YouTube channel, he discussed the concept of debt. We are struggling, being crushed under interest rates, and debt that we can't afford to pay. Greater than she was supposed to bring cash. She wasn't supposed to bring cards. She was supposed to bring cash. Greater than, okay? Greater than because traceable. Greater than they'll return to this subject, but for now, Dwayne then details what he calls mentoring Sonia. Greater than I want you to work on this. I want you to do that is what I was telling her. Greater than, me, Q, greater than, and I kept instructing her to have really good with her husband, greater than, because it seemed like when I do that, she'd get a little better every time. She'd feel a little better. And then of course her husband was obviously appreciative of the attention. You know what I mean? Greater than, however, this didn't last. Greater than didn't work. Greater than it didn't work. Greater than it didn't work. It worked. But it didn't work greater than just temporarily. Greater than it was a band-aid, and we met, after a period of time. Greater than, do you want to talk about what happened Saturday and Sunday? Greater than, I can't really talk too much about that, but you can ask questions and if I feel comfortable answering them, I will. Greater than, is it because of this promise that you made to Sonia? Greater than, yeah. Greater than, yeah. Explain to me how did Sonia ask you to make this promise? What did she ask you? Greater than, she did not want to be found. She did not want to be returned home. She wanted to be gone. Gone. Greater than, okay. Greater than so, you feel like you would be breaking that promise if you told us where she was. Greater than, I can't confirm nor deny that, but I can't break my promise about anything regarding that. I can't tell you where she went, and I can't tell you anything about it. Greater than, since he refuses to discuss what happened to Sonia, the investigators instead focus on what occurred during their time together. Greater than so, you said that you had some light bondage. Greater than, can you tell me about that? Because sometimes bondage there can be injuries. Greater than, there's probably a few bruises. Greater than, okay. Greater than at her insistence. There's a reason the investigators are clarifying this detail. Greater than, what's this on your face? Greater than, look at this. Greater than you've beaten me. Greater than, is that what you wanted? Is that what you asked for? Greater than, literally speaking. I guess literally speaking. Greater than the rest of this disturbing video, may hold the key to revealing what ultimately happened to Sonia. Greater than so, smacking on the cry back. Greater than okay, smacking on the face. Greater than, and she had me smack your face a couple of times. Greater than, okay. Around the same time that Dwayne recorded the video of Sonia, she attempted to reach out to an online friend through Discord. According to court documents, the message was long and at times disjointed, but Sonia wrote that the person she was with made her record 3 disclaimer videos and write a letter to her family because he thought it was funny. Greater than, she definitely made it very clear that she wanted really rough, aggressive. Greater than, okay. Greater than Sonia's message goes on to say, I'm sorry he keeps taking my phone. He doesn't trust me with it. She writes that last night was so bad, and he's in the shower. But I'm locked in and there's no signal in the middle of nowhere. I thought he'd do it quick and not give my mind time to stew. Her message ends with her saying, I'm so scared. I'm so broken and in so much pain. All I can do is lay here, and doing what he wants makes him respect me enough not to do the things I really hate. I'm trying to be quick, and my time's up. Chillingly, during this same time, Dwayne was also in contact with his wife, and even called her on the evening of the 10th around 9 o'clock p.m. Greater than, he called me to say goodnight for like 5 minutes. Greater than, though, Ginger doesn't reveal anything else about this conversation. The message Sonia sent also came up in Ginger's interview. Greater than. Oh, and they're talking about her sending some, message or something somewhere saying she'd changed her mind, going back and forth. The yo-yo back and forth, because fear is going to kick in. We are wired to survive. The fear is going to kick in, and it's exactly why you can't just hold your breath until you die. Greater than Sonia's Discord message also indicated that the person she was with wouldn't let her leave, and they always had a gun on them. Did she ever do anything during the time that you spent with her, where it seemed like maybe she had changed her mind? Greater than no. Actually, she got really upset with me because I quit. I was not into it whatsoever, and I quit, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to sleep with her. I didn't want to play bondage games with her or anything. I just wanted to be done. Blang then finally explains the truth behind the transactions which led the investigators to him in the first place. Greater than, she still wanted to help me out financially, so she had me run the one card over and over again because she swore down that there was money on there. That's not a lie. She swore down that there was money on there, and then when we got down so low, she's like, I don't know why there's nothing on there, and then we ran the other party, and she was extremely short of what she promised, only because I wanted to try to get out from the IRS just to get that wave too. Greater than. How much was she going to give me for the IRS? Greater than about $4,000. Greater than. And she only ended up having the 1,200. Greater than. And how did that? I mean, it seems to be that's pretty impactful for you. You're expecting something that may cut your IRS debt almost in half. Greater than, yep. Greater than. And then she doesn't have it. Greater than it even further deteriorated the mood. As far as I know, as far as I understand, I think everything else has to be within the time. Greater than, okay, greater than I hear them. Thank you for calling us back and clearing the air. Greater than, with his new story established, Dwayne is once again left alone. However, the investigators return once again, this time with news for Dwayne. Greater than all right, Dwayne. So, I want to let you know that I am arresting you for the credit card fraud, right? For charging that money and lying about charging that money. Greater than, I don't really understand what's going on right now. You're being placed under arrest for credit card fraud for using Sonia's cards. Greater than, I mean, okay. I'm a little confused about literally everything else, though. I feel like that I don't know. I feel weird about the whole thing. It's a few things. Greater than, I know it's a lot. That's why I said process. You think about it. You greater than some things ain't adding up there. You're charging me for credit card fraud. Greater than, yeah, greater than more charges coming, right? Greater than, I don't know. I just tell you, like, right now you're getting charged with credit card fraud. Greater than, okay. Greater than, do you expect more charges coming? Did you expect something different? Greater than, yeah. But we're not going to go there. Greater than, I mean, is there something you want me to charge you with? Greater than you impounded me. You impounded my vehicle. Have no idea what's going on with that. If I'm even going to get that back, and the wife is, for all I know, stranded somewhere. Okay. I mean credit card fraud. Okay. Greater. I mean, if you want something else, let me know. What do you want me to charge you with? Greater than. Charge me with go home. Greater than. Despite this request, Dwayne is not allowed to go home. Though his charges would eventually be adjusted for now, he's arrested on charges of the fraudulent use of credit cards and unlawful use of 2 transmission devices and taken to jail. Though the investigators have claimed that they believe Sonia is no longer alive, they are still actively looking for her. This search brought them to Dwayne's home, where his family is less than pleased to see a police presence at their door. Greater than shame on you. Greater than shame on me for what? Greater than what? Greater than you were supposed to get back to me, and you, greater than very busy. Greater than I can imagine. But and here's the deal. I'm not working a missing persons investigation. I'm now working a death investigation. Greater than, oh my God. Greater than, okay. So yes, I've been very busy. Greater than, okay, I understand this. Greater than, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry. I understand that. But, greater than, they can't search warrant. Greater than, I'm here now. Greater than, though, they don't find anything of note at the residence. Based on Dwayne's phone records, the Moran County Sheriff's Office conducts a search of the area where Dwayne had described hiding from the car that had been following him. There, they locate an area of disturbed soil and the remains of a woman. All she has on is a black bra and tan sandals with a white floral dress, matching the description of Sonia's dress lying on top of the body. Fingerprint comparison confirmed the remains belonged to Sonia XLB. During the exhumation, a label for a shovel matching the one purchased by Dwayne was located in the grave. The shovel was recovered from Dwayne's garage, and when tested gave chemical indications for the presence of blood. The major DNA profile matched Sonia. Following Dwayne's arrest, investigators were contacted about his case, but not by Dwayne. Another inmate came forward after he had a series of conversations with Dwayne. He describes what he told him about his case. Greater than he was in a business, but not necessarily business, but he was in a business of like people who didn't want to live anymore. He would help them kind of like assist. Greater than, a similar discussion, came up in Ginger's interview. Because back when I was sick before my transplant, I got really bad for a little while. And we talked about it, helping me end it, because I didn't want to wind up a vegetable. It occurred to me just the other day, actually, that when Sonia started talking to him and started breaking down and crying and saying, she can't handle it, she can't do it, I'm wondering if he saw me hooked up to all those monitors and all those machines just barely staying alive and miserable and in pain. And I'm wondering if maybe he just couldn't watch that happen again to someone he cared about, and he caved to helping her end it. Greater than, and this is how you wanted to die, right? You wanted to be beaten and made to suffer because you're such a piece of greater than, say it. I needed to be beaten and suffer, 'cause I'm such a piece of greater than good. Greater than, you're not being forced to say that, right? Greater than so? Are you getting what you wanted? Greater than, are you pleased? Are you happy? Greater than. I think it took her 2 years to talk him into helping her leave this world. In his interview, the inmate says that Dwayne did not seem concerned about his case, and discloses that Dwayne told him he had a contingency plan. Greater than. It's like backup just in case he may have to get rid of something or like do something in case, the case start closing up around his neck. Greater than. Knowing that Dwayne had potentially set up a contingency plan, investigators took a look at his Facebook messages. There they can see that he sent his friend a photo that was later deleted with the message, "We'll need this back in 6 months if this storm passes over with no lingering fallout. Please, for the love of shadows, don't lose this box. These are very precious and valuable personal items." While serving a search warrant on the friend's home, Dwayne's friend revealed to investigators that he'd received a package from Dwayne containing an engraved knife and sheath that he'd purchased for him and a bracelet. He then sewed the knife sheath and bracelet into a small black fabric bag. The blade of the 7-inch knife was engraved with the words, "Dorkwolf pointy," and "goes" in the other guy. The friend explained that the engraving was him making fun of Dwayne's use of the Darkwolf name online. In his interview, the inmate tells investigators that he asked Dwayne about Sonia's death. Greater than, how did she die? He was now, how he said it made me believe it was a knife. Okay? Because he was like, to be honest with you, he wasn't quite the easiest. Okay, I'm assuming that it's a knife. Greater than, and how did you want to die? What was your chosen way to die? Kind of described that. What have you been consenting to here today? Greater than you mean the way that you're talking about killing greater than for a month? How did they do it? You consent to what kind of treatment beforehand that you feel like you deserved? Greater than to be stopped. Greater than, yeah, that's what you want. But the last day or two, what has your treatment been? What did you ask for leading up to that? Greater than, I can't remember. We've talked about so many different ways. A color-changing test was conducted on the knife recovered from Dwayne's friend. It returned chemical indications for the presence of blood. The DNA profile matched the profile from Sonia. Greater than it was, like, it wasn't easy, It wasn't like just one and done. Greater than an autopsy determined that Sonia's cause of death was 4 sharp force injuries, likely caused by a knife. When her body was first exhumed, investigators noted that she had 4 stab wounds on her left side in a curved placement between her back and under her breast. The manner of death was determined to be homicide. Greater than, are you being coerced? Are you being forced into this pee? But he did tell me he was sorry. And he doesn't. I don't think he regrets it because it's hard to watch somebody go through pain like that. And to be too scared to go yourself. I can understand it. I believe it was honorable. Greater than, yeah. He no, I don't feel like I've done anything wrong. This was this woman's wishes. Greater than, he's not really the monster that everybody is thinking he is. I think he really actually cared about Sonia and didn't want to see her suffer anymore. Greater than, as he suspected, more charges were indeed coming. Dwayne Hall has now been indicted for murder in the 1st degree and kidnapping. He has entered a plea of not guilty, and the case remains ongoing.